Well, hello there, everybody. Just digging out to a little bit of glamour profession. I have to say, a little Steely Dan. So, how is everyone on this fabulous day in the month of March? I've been out working my butt off. Clearing land is therapeutic, but also hard work. You know, that's like, wow, you pull out use muscles that you don't normally think of. But anyway, trust you're doing good on this Prosperity Monday. Speaking favor over us all, nothing missing, nothing broken. That's our ever present reality, whether it's this realm or the next realm. You know, I was thinking this morning, I'm out there clearing brush, and, you know, there are certain plants out there that like have thorns on them, and they'll grab a hold of you even if they're dormant. And it was odd because it's such beautiful land. You look at the topography and the wildlife, and but there's things out there that just will grab a hold of you and do an old blood ritual. It's like, man, what happened? But anyway, it's all fun. And I often wonder if the other realm, the one that we're all destined, whether it's the same zip code or region, I don't know, but no doubt we're heading there. Is that a planet? I mean, do planets exist on, I don't know, the other side? I don't know. So hold on one second, please, folks. Hold 1 second. Ba, 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 boom, I'm back. Had to do something. I was like, oh yeah. But anyway, so just some quiet thoughts, things that I do that I think about. I mean, is there a planet called the planet of death or the planet of life? Well, no. I have a sense that life is much more than what we define it as being. I believe it's very complex, multi-layered, multi-dimensional in meaning and aspect. And sometimes we think it's ending of one life, but actually, if it's a higher hierarchy, then it would be what? Life, right? Life and duality, life and perpetuity. It's like, yeah. Anyway, deep thoughts. Hello, Lady Rose. Good to see you. Off the hook. What's up? Hey, Gilbert. What's up, brother? We go to another planet. Yeah, I was thinking that. Yeah. Rick, what's up? Good to see you, Loretta. I mean, seriously, that's what I was thinking. It's like it has to be, right? I mean, what are we doing? Like all just floating around. And if you, depending on what your point of view, if like the paranormal, capturing ghost, right? Great preoccupation of humans because we got more cameras than there ever been. And now our cameras are catching a potential reality that none of us really even fathom. You know, the living dead, oxymoron, right? Well, how does that one work out? I don't know, but it seems like there's something there. I don't know. And of course, we live in a time and an era where it's all, illusion. Maybe that's what this realm always has. Or maybe we've created an illusion of a belief of seeing something that we swear doesn't exist. So therefore, if we don't have it in our theosophy, that then it doesn't matter, even if it has physical presence, because we ain't going to believe it anyway. It's Photoshop. It's AI. And that's a weird thought when you think about it, is that, we're now living in a time where, man, it's hard to figure out what is truth and what is not, and depending on whose point of view, who is defining truth. Quiet thoughts. Have it. Good to see you. Hello, Elder Barry. Brian, what's up, brother? Paul, Joe, hello. Good to see you. Grace, Greedy, how are you doing? Um, Go all the way from Croatia. Good to see you. Boots on the ground. Listening intently today. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you kindly. Of course, maybe it's not a sermon. Either way, thanks. There's dimensions within our dimension. Yeah, I happen to think so. Hey, Nina, what's up? Good to see you, girl. Uh, what's that? I'm reading the comments in there. Anyway, it's like, okay. All right. So we've lately seemed to be covering a lot of different books with a lot of different points of view that yet seem to be all on the same pillar of this foundation, that we ain't the only ones here. You know, thought it was interesting, Nina, and Robert D, in your movie of the Anunnaki, how, you get the blue box. It's like, all right, it shows that you've got noticed, it's like, all right. So if y'all haven't seen it, go over there and check it out on the Non-Religious Truth channel. And, you get the blue box. And so, apparently, the powers to be and this medium, and I thought it was interesting when I read it, it was like, they're not denying the Anunnaki. They're making recognition that it was from the lore of Sumer, the Sumerians, but no Bible scholar wants to address that. It's like, yeah, well, because, you know, to give them a break, it's like when the Bible was being written by those dudes, some of them today can probably diagnose, schizophrenic, psychotic, introverted, perverted, who knows, probably on heavy doses of lithium. And anyway, they didn't know about the Sumerians, apparently. But yet, even in their writings, where'd that flying saucer come from? That was piloted by two women. Now, that's some strange shit. And the thing about it is, the saucer, or the ship, as it was written right there in the book of Zechariah, came from Sumer. And it's interesting if you think that, because what was Zechariah seeing? Was that a hallucination of his imagination? Was there really this extraterrestrial being that was there talking to him, making full manifestation? Uh, Interestingly enough, talking about future events. I ponder those things. And then as they're sitting rapping, that this flying saucer comes up from the east out of some air, and that's what it says. And this angel dude talks to the guy that was inside the ship that the two gals are piloting. That's some weird stuff, man. I mean, so what's going on here? Falls into that category. Strange but true, I tell you. Hey, John, good to see you. What's up? Everybody else, New Yoda. So just check it out. Hey, Lucky, what's up? Good to see you. So anyway, found this book. It's been out there, but it was so interesting because I was actually doing something else, and it's amazing how you connect the dots. My wife and I were talking about that, and how events in our lives you look at them, the great thing about being longer lived is you really have the opportunity to look back and just marvel at the synchronicities, how meetings, how this meeting that absolutely had no relevancy at the time, yet proved to be a critical factor in the next move. And then you look back and you see that move led to that move that led to that move. And it's like my wife said, you know what? She says, she says, you are the person that has the most favor. Yeah. It's like, well, we all do. You speak it all the time. I mean, speak favor over this audience, this family, this tribe. Yeah. Yeah. Planting that seed. That's what I'm talking about. So anyway, let me continue. I thought that y'all would like, hey, Steiger, what's up, dude? Good to see you, brother. Talking to you from the future, and you're looking good. Yeah, it's true. Baby, it's true. So, this is an interesting little gem. Um, the secret cipher of the UFOlogy. It's interesting. And I subsequently, how about that one? I subsequently came across this little website. It's a jewel, I'm telling you. So check this out. And we're going to look at the calculator here. So this is on the secretcipher.com. And this is about the secret cipher of the Ufonauts. The Secret Cipher of the Ufonauts, a book published in 1994 and written by occultist and ufologist Alan H. Greenfield, seeks to help elucidate, the nature of the mysterious Iwas that dictated the Liber Al to Crowley and a myriad entities encountered by UFO contactees in the 20th and 21st century. His theory was that ultraterrestrials, okay, a term used by researcher and author John Keel, used to describe the beings transmitted information to humans in a secret, enciphered format in the guise of enlightened messages. These entities often used authors to produce voluminous works, such as Jane Roberts' Seth and the Ephraim, that communicated with poet James Morrell during his writings of The Changing Light at Sandover. In particular, Greenfield conjectures that Liber Al was the ultimate key to this secret cipher utilized by the ultraterrestrials. Greenfield believed that by utilizing the AWL cipher / NAEQ, which I guess that would be NAEQ, you could take the names of these entities or information they provided and compare their cipher value using the values of phrases or words from the Liber Al as a key. By analyzing words or phrases in the Liber Al that had the same values, one could arrive at further insight or obtain major revelations about the nature of these entities or their motivations. Now, I think it's interesting here because what his theory is that Crowley, others in the occult, and the guy that wrote this, he is an occultist. I mean, he's been there for much longer than I have. But in any case, that it's not so much a demon, an angel, as it is this class of beings, ultra terrestrials. I think that's pretty far out. We're going to get into that a little bit more. So, for example, this is Ashtar, which equals 47, which equals stars in the library, all repeated many times, but also flap, a word which came to mean UFO wave in the military and ufology circles. Recall that contactees George Adamaski's initial contact included the Jesus-like Orthron 68 equals Jesus, but also chosen and life. And it goes on and gives more examples. And we're going to see the calculator here. So it says those interested in the application are highly encouraged to purchase and read Greenfield's fascinating book and its follow-up, The Complete Cipher of the UFOnauts, to gain further insight into how he uses the NAEQ to further examine UFO phenomenon and instances of ultra-terrestrial communications. Says type a word or phrase into the search bar, and the ALW cipher value will automatically be calculated, and a list of letters, words, and phrases up to 16 words from the library all of equal value will be shown. How you interpret this data is up to you. We have found insight stringing together multiple phrases or words with the same value that fit grammatically into something resembling cut-up method poetry, as well as picking out phrases that resonate with the name or phrase we were analyzing. Results are open to interpretation, and a bit of psychic intuition plays part. Use your imagination. Do not read deeply into the order of the results displayed. Individual matches are not necessarily meant to be interpreted as one string or text. All right, so I went back and let's go over here. So this is the calculator. So I put in the word, let's just do this. Give me 1 second. So we will... let's just type in Lucifer. So we immediately get the sum of the number. It comes out to 110. Matches, there's 94. So there's a string of code up here. Then it's 11 as all there is of the four, sake and lovers. In Rosseet, stop and does, a book to say how, 8, a child, but, 9, a king, thou, 10, a beast shall. So, and you can see, and the man, and with whom, as babe in, and you just look at the string of words on here. And it's quite interesting when you see something like this, the lords of the king, the face, the core, that he is, that me and Tara, it's quite interesting. And it's all part of understanding that what we read is not necessarily what it is. And I find that curious. Although, to be fair, I mean, when I was deeply into Christianity, and I could say, you know, in a sense that if you were of the denomination that believed in the gifts of the Holy Spirit through manifestations of speaking in tongues, laying on of hands, interpretation, prophesying, having the ability to see into the spirit realm, having the word of knowledge, the gift of knowledge, yeah. Now, you put that in another context, and I can show you exactly how the occult teaches the same thing. It's just whoever wrote that said, hey, I can put it all into one, you know, entity. Weird. So there was this thing called the Bible Code. How they made money, millions off of it. And supposedly, it was a algorithm that, we would call today AI that could go in and take certain Hebraic letters in the way that they are in number and arrangement, and you would get this code that would, like bring a whole new meaning to the phrase or the word. And so someone came along and said, fine, could we then take that same type of algorithm and let's do the book other than the Old Testament or the Bible, let's say Moby Dick. What would Moby Dick have to tell us? Captain Ahab was far more than what he appeared to be, because if you used that same algorithm, you found out there was a whole nother story within the story. Now, is that true about everything? Some would say yes. Silver Stargazer, how are you doing? Um, I'm late in the conversation. I'm going, okay. Hey, Robert, good to see you. Hey, Mary Wins. Hello, darling. So, Nature's Intentions, good to see you. But anyway, so then there have been subsequent updates, I guess you could say, to this book. The book has been used in a number of independent filmmakers, and it's quite interesting. And I thought, well, we've read the Alien Interview, we read a number of the Lacerda Files, just a number of books that had similarities of ultra-terrestrials. I like that term. So let's just do a little, hey, Blazing River, what's up? Bit like reverse. If you don't keep up with this chat room, I mean, there's some, all of y'all are just like beautiful people. There's a song that I could put together for y'all because that would describe you perfectly. All right, so let's get into this here book. So this is the book, and Alan Greenfield, excuse me. So let's just read. This is an introduction by Jonathan Sellers. He said he first encountered this book in a catalog of Adventures Ultimate Unlimited 10 years ago when he was receiving mail from the conspiratorial mailing list under the moniker of Howard K. Taylor. And he was talking about how, the days before the internet, you got some really interesting stuff because people were putting it in print. And he goes on to talk about how this book came about as a result of a lot of Crowley's work. As it said, the Book of the Law, the Thelma. Anyway, so this cat gets it, and this just gives into what it is, and it's, if you want it, be more than happy to supply it to you. But anyways, he was saying that his study in the occult were somehow there was that missing piece. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. And what happens to the last piece? Doesn't that drive you nuts? Did that ever happen to you? You get there and there ain't there. It's a piece missing. You never, yeah, anyway. He says, I'm pleased to be writing this short introductory memoir announcing the second publication of the secret cipher of the Ufonauts, not only in its first digital edition, but in hard copy format as well. It is interesting to see what society regards as real research, real scholarship, and so forth. Anything that further divorces us from our roots in the authentic tradition is considered a good thing. That is all just silly make-believe. Sure. So, but before settling into, he said, this new plot, he got this thing and said that it really helped connect some of the pieces. So I thought we'd just get into this, just kind of read through this, not because again, we won't get through all of it today. Who knows when we might get to the end of it. But anyway, I thought I'd just put it out there. And it said, and there was war in the heavens. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought. Book of Revelation 12:7. As the secret ceremony of the Masonic Royal Arch nears its climax, the candidates are directed to bring before the king and high priest a strange box with inexplicable writings on all four sides. The high priest, in a ceremony at least hundreds of years old, looks at the box with surprise and exclaims, "Companion King, this is the Ark of the Covenant of God." The officer playing the king agrees, saying, "It is undoubtedly the true Ark of the Covenant. Most excellent." The high priest opens the ark and removes a book. On reading a few passages, the high priest proclaims, "This is a book of the law, long lost but now found. Holiness to the Lord." The king and the scribe agree, and the high priest tells the candidates for initiation, "You now see that the world is indebted to Masonry for the preservation of this sacred volume. Had it not been for the wisdom and precautions of our ancient brethren, this, the only remaining copy of the law, would have been destroyed at the destruction of Jerusalem. Other objects are removed: a pot of manna, a relic of the mysterious food that appeared out of nowhere to feed the Israelites fleeing Egypt, the rod of our Aaron, that which had turned into a serpent, which devoured those created from the wands of the Egyptian magicians. The high priest then finds 4 pieces of paper that on inspection prove to be the key to the cipher of the Royal Ark Mason. With it, those present are able to decode the mysterious writings on the ark, which includes the long-lost word of the Master Mason, the ancient names of 3 sky gods drawn together to form a single word. By such ciphers and codes have the initiates of all times communicated with each other, and with their ultra-terrestrial masters, the secret chiefs of the Great White Brotherhood. Others have used the same or similar ciphers to communicate with their opposition. The simple English-based cipher of 26 letters discussed in this book is directly traceable to the Kabbalah of 9 chambers, a Hebrew-based cipher of unknown antiquity, used for centuries to decode messages and secrets communicated in mystical writings, names, and holy books. The Tree of Life. This is the order of the Illuminati, the foundation for the kindergarten of the Rosicrucian fraternity, symbolic tree of the Confederation of Initiates, or the Rosicrucian fraternity, symbolic tree of light, life, and love. That's really cool. Powerful, I'm telling you, powerful. So this is the symbolic tree of the great work, Conception and Drawing by Elmer E. Hartman. All right. The basic premise. First, some people among us are in the know about UFO phenomena, which have manifested throughout history. Give me 1 second, folks. Certain people have known the nature of this phenomena and used its nature for almost as long. Second, those in the know are interactive with the phenomena and have long been so. Indeed, separating out the phenomena, the legend, the myth makers, and the Illuminati or initiates of the true nature of the phenomenon is difficult. So there's a connection? I'm going, Third, the phenomenon themselves are inherently entangled, but are able to impinge upon our reality in a phenomenological way because they are archetypal. Through mythos, archetypes are quite capable of setting real events into motion. Fourth, the Illuminati of the phenomenon become intertwined with the legends or the mythos itself, and thus take on the legend's power to impinge. The fully illuminated are in control of reality to the extent that the mythos itself is in control. They also, in a very real sense, acquire its intangibility. It's kind of like in God we trust. It's on our money. There's nothing more sacred than money. I mean, that is the all for all in this realm. Even Mother Teresa was a millionaire. Who'd have thought? But the point is here is that God is a catch-all to whatever you happen to think, happen to believe, etc., etc. Does it have the same meaning? No. But yet, I like this. The fully illuminated are in control of reality. I mean, think about what's going on today. I mean, there is this war of ideologies taking place. I mean, it's as real as, if you were shooting bullets back and forth. Because it's the control of your mind. Now, the older you are, the less effective the new techniques are. But that's okay. We're considered, eventually we're going to die off and we're not going to be here, which we provide more of a pain in the ass than anything else. But once whatever has been in the evolution gets full control of the mind of every person, you're going to be able to whip reality in ways that I really don't really want to be here to see that. It looks ugly from everything that's coming forth. But again, so we always want to know who's in control. Well, from this perspective, according to this author, the fully illuminated are in control of reality. And how do they make reality real? They make us believe it's real. We're the dream makers. We're the reality makers. We're the reality manifestors. It's what makes us so freaking powerful if we ever got our head out of our ass as a species and put off religion, put off politics, threw them away, just made them absolutely of no more importance, and then take the monetary curse off of us. You know, there should be no human being profit off of that which nature provides. No human has that right. That's my opinion. Let's continue. Fifth, the Illuminati of the UFOnauts are scattered, informally organized on a worldwide basis. Until the modern information revolution, they communicated through secret societies, allegorical mystery dramas, and ciphers. An outworn example is found in the mythos of alchemy, its cipher language, etc. 6. Most ciphers have followed the decoding rules established in the various techniques of the Cabalistic number analysis, including gematria. The theophistical addition, the notagon, the tumara, the most recent past known ciphers was that of, I think that's Og Bakar, of the Kabbalah of 9 chambers. And actually, I have that. You might want to check that out sometimes. Anyway, a system laid out first in Hebrew, then a dead language of scholars. Now think about this. So how many dead languages that today I often question, do we really have it right? I mean, if you have a dead language, then that means you're trying to resurrect that language, and a language directly is conference into people. You know, I was thinking the other day, I was out working, and I grew up where the make-believe was reality. For instance, you know, I was taught by the Bible that animals talked, and that they talked to humans and humans talked to them. Isn't that fascinating? And yet, you know, we're supposedly to be these cognitive, logical beings, but yet we intermix these myths as reality. But when we talk about something exactly the same, but not from the same camp, like, that ain't true. So the Hebrew, the first dead language of scholars. On a number sign or tic-tac-toe pattern, and adopted by the Royal Archmasons for English language use. To some extent, this cipher is still in current use, but it has long been deciphered and is no longer utilized by Illuminati of the UFOnauts. The cipher are discontinued when they are cracked. 7. Although in use for some time, an English language cipher using the 26 letters of the standard alphabet and laid out on a grid or plotted out on a 26-pointed star was unveiled to a select public by Aleister Crowley in 1904. He said he received it from, and I think that's the Preterhuman Intelligence, the IWAS. Crowley was a high and highly controversial. I'm sorry, Gilbert, when I read that, I was thinking of you, and Crowley was a high. I wonder if Crowley was high. Just saying. An initiate of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, but he never decoded the cipher, which was built on the number 11. Publisher Ray Palmer told ufologists for years that he had a fact which allowed him to decode cases. Palmer's fact is actually the cipher itself. Fact equals 56 in cipher, or 5 plus 6 equal 11. The basis, i.e. the number 11, for deciphering the code. I was just remembering as a kid, we had these, coding rings. Amazing. 8, Crowley's magical son, Frater Akkad, did partially decipher the code, but it remained for Carol Smith in 1974 to solve it, and for software programmer Frater Lamed to make it readily accessible to investigators in the 1980s. Nine, the Ufonauts themselves use the cipher when they have 5 names to themselves, their home planets, etc. They know the case will be reported and the keywords will be communicated to the Illuminati. And I don't even know if the Illuminati are real or not. They certainly get a lot of press. 10th, since I applied the cipher to such keywords, the code is now completely accessible to ufologists and others. The cipher can help analyze cases, predict manifestations, and trace the Ufonauts to their very doorsteps. And yes, they do have doorsteps. 11, as soon as the Ufonauts and Illuminati knew the knowledge of the cipher is widespread, the code will change again. Well, seems like you're chasing, a phantom then. I mean, if they become aware of the code, by the time you're aware of the code, I would think that they would be having well aware that you knew of the code, so they've changed the code. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. Evidence shows it is already changing. I do not read Hebrew, so there you go. That was the old Cabalistic cipher, the 3 by 3 by 3. Okay. A most unusual cast of characters. In 1994, near the end of his life, Crowley wrote one of his students in California. I think that would have been interesting, wouldn't it? My observation of the universe convinces me that there are beings of intelligence and power of a far higher quality than anything we can conceive of as human. The one and only chance for mankind to advance as a whole is for individuals to make contact with such beings. Interesting. I mean, I don't know how much you've studied Crowley. I think all of us here have a pretty good understanding. We've covered many of his writings, but I always think of the person's mind. When you meet people in large groups, and if you just stand back, when I used to be in the couple 100,000-mile club on air miles, in airports are a great way to study people. And that's what I did. And it's interesting because as you watch people, you can see, for me, it's almost like you see these are constant. I don't know if they're auras, but I always saw them as unique as each one, and each one has a different personality of how they think, how they see things. We all can see a wreck, but if there's 10 of us, we're going to give you 10 different perspectives. And so Crowley, again, my observation of the universe convinces me that there are beings of intelligence and power of a far higher quality than anything we can conceive of as humans. That would mean all religion, all belief systems, this duality belief, angel, demon, God, Satan, the whole paradigm, it doesn't exist. We made it up. I mean, I constantly go over in my head is how could be such an imperfect God be God? And everyone else would get by it. It's like the cat we got in the White House. I mean, and he goes on to say, the one and only chance for mankind to advance as a whole is for individuals to make contact with such beings. I think we've made contact here. Scattered individuals throughout modern history and all over the globe have picked up on some aspect of this ultra-terrestrial mystery, but none up till until now has pulled all of it together. However, this outstanding sampling of the best the human race has to offer in their own way provided us with clues and building blocks. Some are geniuses, some saints, a few are absolute assholes. Scoundrels. All are fascinating. What follows is a thumbnail sketch of some of these individuals listed alphabetically. And he goes on to Rabbi Aaron, also known as Yonah Fortner. Rabbi Ben Aaron was a key figure in the 1950s and 1960s in the New York City area ufology circle centered around the Saucers and Unexplained Celestial Events Research Society. Saucers, interesting. Discussion and lecture committee. Rabbi Aaron collaborated with late Dr. John Robinson in the Consultants Committee on Semitic Theology. A satirist of some talent, Ibn Aaron collaborated with on the I Go to See series, which took a wickedly mirthful look at various UFO personality cults and groups. Rabbi Ibn Aaron, key contribution, however, was his extraterrestrialism series published in Saucer News, which postulated that ancient documents, including the Old Testament, were really specific accounts of extraterrestrial visitations. Bam. Fascinating, isn't it? Wow. And you got to take the serious aspect that he's a rabbi. He knows about his religion. He doesn't need a Christian or a non-believer to tell him what his Hebrew heritage is. He knows. Now, if he can come to such conclusions, how did he get there? Because it's true. I mean, whether you're going from Genesis to Ezekiel, Isaiah, the minor prophets, it's all predicated on visitations of these intelligent so-called beings. Well, so-called intelligent. And yet, these so-called beings, these ultra-terrestrials, I like this, have the same human characteristics. They're at war, they kill, they lust, they desire. I mean, have you ever asked yourself why the God of the Old Testament was such a bloodthirsty son of a bitch? I mean, it was all about blood, and a lot of it was spilt. That can't be God. I have said it, and I'll say it until the day I leave this place. If your God murders, that ain't no God. If your God kills, that ain't no God. And it certainly ain't no God of love, because that God doesn't exist. Nowhere. You can't show me where that God exists. Show me and tell me who this God of love is. Give me its name. I'd like to know it. Maybe you're much more broader in your vast understanding and knowledge, because I haven't found it. Doesn't exist. Anyway, I digress. It really makes you think then, if this type of nonsense is happening out in the universe, right? This is what truly extraterrestrials do, is kill, lust, conquer. Then this is a universe of hell. And we're all in it. May you find your way out. So this rabbi is saying that it's very likely that all these stories are nothing more than non-humans. A linguist of great talent, he postulated that many biblical passages had been mistranslated, especially when Aramaic texts were mistaken for Hebrew. For example, the phrase Roch Elohim usually translates Spirit of God or Wind of God, may actually refer to a specific form of energy used by a race of extraterrestrial beings. If this isn't worth your time being here today, I don't know what else would be. Imagine the whole knowledge, all the occult, metaphysical, religion, Abrahamic belief systems, all of it's wrong. Wow. That's a wake-up call. Rabbi Ibn Aaron anticipated the chariots of the gods idea by many years and was far more literate in his exposition than anyone in the field up until the comparable scholarship of Roberts Temple's The Cirrus Mystery. Rabbi Ibn Aaron was an early organizer of the National UFO Conference. He died in 2005. I don't know about you, but that I just find that fascinating. And no doubt many of us have suspected as much. I mean, the story of Ezekiel, of the fire wheel, that was Yahweh. That was an Elohim. But it's clearly showed that this was not, well, human. Or were they? Just had technology. It's quite interesting. All right. So, Frater Setnakh, also known as Frater Parzafel, real name Charles Robert John Statsfield Jones. Holy crap. Could you imagine writing that out? What's your name, sir? Charles Robert John Stansfield. No, I want just your name. Well, I'm trying to give you my name. Anyway, Jones, born 1886, died 1952. Frater Setnakh is a key figure in the magical revival of the 20th century. Wow. Recognized by Crowley as his magical son and presumably heir, Setnakh quickly rose to the leadership and initiatory summits of both Crowley's Ordo AA and the Ordo Tempi Auritis Otto. After World War I, he and Crowley parted company. Setnakh produced a number of remarkable works on the occult, notable for their originality and logical consistency. His book 31, Liber 31, provided the first serious clue to the cipher of the Ufonauts. Wow. Bet there's some folks out there going, I got to get that book. What is they talking about? George Adamski, the author of Flying Saucers Have Landed with Desmond Leslie, and the first major claimant of UFO contact. Adamski's legendary contacts fell roughly into the category now called the blondes. The Polish-born American visionary was often derided for his humble vocation and high pretensions, as well as for his claims. But his story, first unsuccessfully submitted as a science fiction novel, has strong archetypal and mythic qualities that have repeatedly proven their psychological power. Said to have been seen immediately after his sudden death as a reborn space being with the name Yamsky. Wow. Said to have been seen immediately after his sudden death as a reborn space being with the name Yamsky. Adamski is buried at Arlington National Cemetery. His close early association with the initiated and the New Age guru George Hunt Williamson plays a key role in the saga of the Cipher of the Ufonauts. He died April 22nd, 1965. All right, Awas, the perturb-human intelligence, who appeared to Crowley in Cairo in April 1904, dictating to him the Book of the Law, or the Liber al vel Legis. Although primarily associated with the law of the new eon, or the age of Aquarius, the Book of the Law predicts and contains the complete cipher of the Ufonauts. As far as is known, although not fully decoded until the 1970s, even in the classical form, this cipher seems to have been in use before for both among the Ufonauts themselves and for some time prior to the appearance of the AWAS. The physical description Crowley gives of the AWAS is virtually identical to those given in modern Men in Black cases. Well, I guess we'll cut it off there. Then you have, or maybe real quick, Kenneth Arnold, a pilot who made his way into history on June 24th, 1947, when he reported sighting 9 unidentified objects in the Cascade Mountains, which he described as like saucers skipping over water. The basis of the term flying saucer, which has become part of UFO story ever since. Arnold became closely associated with the late magazine publisher Raymond A. Palmer, from whom he investigated the first Men in Black incident. Fascinating, fascinating, fascinating. I mean, talk about it all tying together. Holy crap. Whew. So what do you think? I mean, real life people, lived and died, but they had an insight that was obviously not normal. Went against the grain of every social norm, culture. I mean, you're talking about, freaking little green men, right? No. We're talking about, beings that, again, I keep on going back to that, as this rabbi pointed out, you have so-called linguists that think they know, but the arrogance of many intellectuals is ridiculous. I mean, you see it in politics and you see it in religion, but you also see it in academics, and they have not the arrogance at times, that they're so superior in their thought processes. And I have found them to be really dumb. I mean, dumb. Got no common sense at all. Just dumb. Smart dumb, right? All right. I'm just reading everything. I have to go back and read the comments that if Jesus did exist, he would be a powerful magician for sure. That is a fact. I mean, I keep saying that, he was definitely a hippie. If the dude existed, I don't know if he did or not. I mean, it's like this. We've talked about it on this. We know this. We have actual bust of men that lived in that exact same time period. We've got not only marble bust, but we have sketches, drawings. And I have said this before, Jerusalem at the turn of the century was a cosmopolitan city. It was a military occupied capital because it was of great importance to Rome. But being that, you had people from Indo China, into Asia, excuse me. You had them from the West, I mean, from the South, from the North. It was a happening place. And you can't tell me that there was not one freaking artist amongst the million people in Jerusalem. Not one. I ain't buying that. If they have found pornography of women's tits and etc. on the graffiti wall over 2,000 years old, are you telling me they couldn't picture the so-called Christ? And it ain't no white dude. Couldn't be a white dude. But I'm getting off. Hey, Gary, what's up? Mary Wynn's good to see you. But yeah, anyway. Jesus is like Bigfoot, always blurry. That's true, Blazing Room. That is really true. Well, folks, Shay, that's that's cute. I like that. Anyway, well, I hope you found the conversation lively. We may pick back up on this. It may be worth it. Tomorrow, got the ladies and Miss Trina Phoenix and Miss Jenny Roberts. So, yeah, interesting. I mean, we've been messed with the whole time. And, it's like I keep saying, they're purposely holding us back. Purposely. And boy, when you get a group that starts really figuring out and really starts getting the pieces, I go, oh boy. Yeah. All right, folks. Much lost in space. How you, brother? Are you digging out of the snow, man? Gaia, how about you? That's a snow. Well, I mean, y'all were just forecasted to get buried, dumped on. Anyway, no longer a guppy here. Hey, monkey experiment. Good night. Favor right back at you, brother. What is electric tragedy? Maybe that's why there is no pictures. They don't want proof. Jesus may be a black. Wow. Would that change the world, huh? Because Christianity is primarily a white religion. It is. I mean, they stole their God because they couldn't come up with the original one. I mean, yeah, think about it. People say, oh, that's racist. No, just simply saying, you know. Gaia, I'm glad to hear that, dear. Thank you, hon. Give my best to Paul. I am important. Beware the scribes. There's some wisdom in that. Joe Mack, how are you doing? Good to see you. As Hillary would say, what difference does it make? Uh, with that fine thing. Hey, Jackie J, what's up? Nothing missing, nothing broken, darling. Brandy, you're a fine girl. That's all I got to say. All right. Thanks, folks. We'll pick this up in spirit, if anything else, on tomorrow's show. All right. Much love to everyone. Until then, learn to love yourself. Yeah. Because in the end, that's the only one you're going with. So if you ain't got love for yourself, can you imagine what kind of a